Well, who's going to hit tonight, Chelsa? Because we got a couple of games to bet on. And I know you've got your props lined up and ready to go. Bucks and Texans in H-Town. Texans laying 2.5. Texans minus 145. The Bucks are plus 120. The total is set at 42.5. I like the Bucks. I like the points. Who do you like and why?
Yeah, I think I like the Bucks here if I were to pick a side, just because for me, the Texans offense still looks like it's having some rust shaken off. And also, they have a ton of injuries that they're still dealing with. So we saw it in the first game. C.J. Stroud didn't have a lot going. And we saw this last year where the offensive line does a not a great job of protecting C.J. Stroud. Gave up the second most sacks of any offensive line in the league last year. So we saw this team only score a total of 9 points in their first game against the Rams. So I think that it's fair to have questions about this Texans team. Meanwhile, you look at the Bucks and the offense, despite suffering some injuries, no Chris Godwin, no Jalen McMillan, they have an embarrassment of riches, it feels like, on the offensive side of things, because you just plug in Emeka Egbuka and you're like, okay, he's a slot receiver, and he's amazing. You get all these rave reviews about somebody who is young, who is a rookie, who comes into the league, and everybody says he carries himself like a veteran. Then you get somebody as a quarterback in Baker Mayfield who is an absolute gamer. And I feel like in these type of games, this is when he's at his best. You know, when you play in these primetime moments on the road, I think he kind of likes when people like count him out and when people like boo him. I don't think that's going to be the case here. But still, just based on the info in front of us, it feels to me like the Bucks. But I'm not ready to feel super confident in that because I do think there is a good team in there in the Texans. And maybe it was just a one-game sample size. And maybe it was just a matter of, hey, we're a little rusty. It's the first game of the season.
Oh, I mean, that can absolutely be it. Think about how many opinions change after a single game. You know what I mean? So that wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, the Rams have a really good defense too. So I know the Texans didn't score and it wasn't their best performance, but the Rams are one of those teams here we're going to be talking about. We both liked them before the season. They look really good. Matthew Stafford, of course, he's fine. He's banged up, but he's always fine. But when it comes to this game, I do need to see a little more from the Texans. They missed Joe Mixon in a big way. I just wonder if they can keep up with the Bucks because the Bucks can score. You know, when Baker gets going, I mean, he can move on the ground. I know you've kind of looked at his rushing prop as well. Now they have Egbuka, who looks like he's going to be a stud, and you're adding him to that offense. And Chris Godwin is coming back soon. I just feel like that Tampa is too talented on offense, and that if the Texans need to score late in this game, I wonder if they're going to be able to get it. So I'm going to go Bucks plus 2.5 here.
Yeah, I also think there's some good prop looks for this game. So as opposed to picking a side, I'm going to look at a couple receivers. I think you can go one of two directions when it comes to the Bucks, because I do think that's the best option to look on, you know, each side of the coin. So you can go the Mike Evans direction, which you don't even need that much of a handicap for Mike Evans because he is such a stalwart. One of the best receivers in the league. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. We know he has a rapport with Baker Mayfield. Last week, he had 8 targets, 5 catches, 51 yards. But the thing is, you are always playing a higher number on Mike Evans. He is a brand name, and you're going to have to pay for it. So the prop on him tonight is a bit higher. It is 68.5, 5.5 receptions if you want to play catches. And also, I'll say this. Like, I started off with him because he is from Texas, and they had a really debilitating loss against the Texans. I think it was C.J. Stroud's rookie season. And they asked, like, the Texans about this game as well. And, like, they remembered it. They're like, oh, yeah, that's one of the best games, you know, CJ's ever played in. But for the Bucks on the other side of the coin, Mike Evans remembers this game. And he was like, listen, it was a huge letdown. I had a bunch of my family there because he's from Texas. So I think the fact that this game is in Texas, Mike Evans is going to be super motivated. He's going to want to put on a show. And also, he's Mike Evans. So, like, again, I don't feel like you need much of a handicap there. But for me, I'm going to go with the player that has a lower number in this one, and I think he has just as high of an upside here. Emeka Egbuka, he's going to be operating out of the slot, or at least that's what we saw at Ohio State. That's what we saw in the first game of the season. And we saw this for the Texans. They just gave up a huge game to another slot receiver. His name is Puka Nacua, who, granted, is still a very, you know, elite type of player, and he has Matt Stafford throwing him the ball. So maybe it's some of that built in there as well. But he torched this Texans defense for 130 yards, 10 catches on 11 targets. So if you're looking for a slot receiver that could do the same, maybe it's Emeka Egbuka, because you read all the articles on him, and it feels like they're talking about Puka Nacua. Like, all these adjectives that they use to describe him running technician. Maybe he's not the biggest and fastest guy, but he is very good at footwork. He's good at reading defenses. Sounds like Puka Nacua. So if Puka Nacua can do it against this defense, I think Emeka Egbuka can as well, especially with Jalen McMillan and Chris Godwin out. So I'm going to take his receiving yards prop of 53.5, and we're hitting the over.
I'm taking Mike Evans anytime touchdown at plus 150 here. Didn't get into the end zone last week because Egbuka got 2 touchdowns in his debut. But now because he's established himself so quickly and because of the reasons you mentioned, it means a different type of receiver. And, man, that offense, when they get Godwin back, is going to be unbelievable. But you're not going to keep Mike Evans out of the end zone for long. And now defenses can't just focus on Mike Evans with Godwin out because they have Egbuka to deal with. And also just the nature of the way that Mike Evans plays the game. Like, he's so big and strong that if they get close inside the red zone, you know the drill. Baker's just going to throw it up and let Mike Evans go get it. And plus, it's a plus money. So if you get Mike Evans anytime touchdown, plus 150, I know it's not a high total there, so maybe there is some hesitancy, but I feel like that's a really good price and one of the best receivers in the game.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk you off of that. Like, just because Mike Evans is such a mismatch in the red zone, like we've seen it, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. So especially at that price, I think that is a solid look.